Hey guys, this is Comic Uno, and today I'm doing Comic Uno's Best Comics of the Week. And this is the show where I review all the comics I read this week in one show. We go least favorite to best pick of the week and everything in between. So, of course, at the end of the video, I talk about the viewer's pick of the week. So, in the comments below, let me know what your pick of the week was to have a chance to be featured on the episode. Now, also, I do have a Kickstarter going on for my comic Slice of Life. It's about an anime character that comes to life and falls in love with a high school cheerleader. So hopefully you guys could go check that out. But let's jump into the episode. We have about 9 books, which is a little bit of a lighter haul than usual. But going into number 9, which is actually a new book that I wanted to try on whim, I guess. There's actually a lot of new DC books, but this is the only one I got from the bunch. And that is Aquaman Green Arrow Deep Target Issue 1. Now, I am a Green Arrow fan. I do like the character. I'm not a huge Aquaman fan, though. So this is kind of, again, getting this on whim. And I just wanted to see what this team up would be like. These aren't characters that usually do have a duo. Usually it's Green Arrow and Green Lantern. So jumping into this issue, we do get to see a very action-heavy issue. And the big twist in this issue is that Green Arrow is dressed up as Aquaman, and then Aquaman's dressed up as Green Arrow. So it seems like it's kind of starting in the middle of the story, and that's kind of how they end up teaming up. A lot of the issue is a lot of exposition about the villain, which I didn't quite love. I do like that this was an action-heavy issue, but I wish we got the beginning of the story about, okay, how do we get to this place? Let's make this a bit more character-driven, because it really was much more action-driven than I usually like. But I thought the artwork fit really well for this. The artwork was really crisp and honestly one of the better parts of this issue. But honestly, I just don't know if it gave me enough to get another issue as someone who's not a big Aquaman fan, and I don't know how much story we're really getting from Green Arrow here. So overall, giving that 2.5 stars, and that is number 9. Moving on to number 8, which is The Amazing Spider-Man, issue 77, continuing this almost weekly release schedule of The Amazing Spider-Man. We do get a bit more focus on Ben, and he's kind of forgetting things. We'll hopefully get more of the story there about that. We get a kind of interesting dialogue between him and talking about Uncle Ben, which I thought was cool. I definitely like the moments between Mary Jane and Aunt May probably the most in this issue, but they're just so few and far between in this issue, that I just kind of wanted to go back to those moments. I wanted to go back to Aunt May and figuring out, okay, what is she gonna do? Because she's, obviously upset that Peter is in a coma, and it seems like she's gonna be in the more reactive state here, which, what is Aunt May's ability here? What is her connection? So I'm curious to see where that's going to end up going. But honestly, the story that kind of at least interests me is probably the main plot of this book, which is the Beyond segment of it, the corporation segment, the Ben segment of him taking over being Spider-Man. It's the more character-driven stuff that I like about this issue, but it really didn't do enough for me here. Also, I felt like Sarah Pacelli's artwork was really weak here. I think she's a very strong artist usually, but a lot of this kind of felt rushed, especially a lot of the facial expressions looked a little weird for me, so that also took me out of the issue a bit. So overall, I'm going to give that 2.5 stars, and that is number 8. Moving on to number 7, a book that's been kind of delayed for a while. I don't know because of the paper shortage or not, but Wondergirl issue 4. And honestly, I do think it kind of derailed the issue a little bit by being delayed a bit, because I honestly didn't really remember what happened last issue until we got into a few pages here. It definitely jumps around a lot this issue, but I love the humor. I really love Yara's dialogue here. There's a lot of good moments with her, calling her horse Jim or Jeff, whatever it ended up being. I thought that was really fun, and her just kind of getting used to the Amazon culture again and figuring out what her role is within the Amazons, I thought was really cool. There are some wordy parts in this issue, which I feel like could have been cut down a bit, but I enjoyed Yara here. I wish we got to see more of Cassie and Artemis, because those were definitely the shining moments from previous issues that I feel like they had less moments here. But the artwork, man, is so good. I love that Joelle Jones does the writing and art style for this, because you can really feel, obviously being one person collaborating on it, the seamlessness of the whole book. So overall, I'm going to give that 3 stars. I don't think it's as strong as the previous issues, but still a really fun issue. Moving on to number 6, which is Marauders, issue 25. I believe we're getting towards the end of Jerry Dugan's run on Marauders. This might have been the last issue. Maybe we have one more. But this one, honestly, it was just fun team up. You know, it was fun to see the team actually interact again, where we get to see Kitty and Emma teaming up to defeat the villain. There's some really good action here, some good back and forth between multiple characters. You get Iceman has a shining moment. Again, Kitty does, Emma does, and it really just showed the dynamic in a good light, where I feel like we haven't really seen that in a while. I feel like the team's been very separated. I will say the artwork was a little stiff, especially in the action moments that should have been so amazing. It just was okay. Like the Kitty Pryde headbutt moment. It looked, scripting wise, it looked really cool, but I just thought there's some stiffness to it. But overall, this is definitely one of the better issues of Marauders for me, and curious to see where the series is going to go from here. So overall, giving that 3.5 stars, and that is number 6. Moving on to number 5, which is SpiderWoman issue 16. Man, another solid issue. This having to do with Jessica teaming up with her niece and trying to fight up against Jessica's brother, who's kind of, I guess, been controlled by his girlfriend / kind of not stepmom of the niece. And there's just some really good character moments, especially of people not or really shouldn't underestimate the niece. And I really liked her action moments here. I really just enjoyed the team up overall. There's a lot of great humor in this one. Again, a lot of good action. And it leaves us on an interesting cliffhanger to see, okay, maybe they'll team up again. And also, I guess we won't see the brother for a while, even though, you know, we had that little break from him in that second time we saw him. So I am curious if this means, you know, maybe we won't see him for a little while, but it doesn't mean he's disappearing from the series. Same thing for the niece. They definitely leave the door open. Artwork is always pretty solid for this book, and yeah, I just thought it was a really fun issue. So giving that 4 stars, and that is number 5. Moving on to number 4, a book that I absolutely adore, and that is Black Widow issue 12. And man, oh man, the action is so good for this issue. But there's a lot of great emotional moments here too. They really utilize the team well here, where it's them kind of undercover, but them also being in the spotlight. They go to this gala, they wear some really cool clothes, and it's Black Widow really showing what her goals are and how she utilizes her team, and also the connection of her just missing her family, which I always feel like is a great heartbeat of this series. And then by the end, we meet this new character, which is really cool because Black Widow is really scared of him. You're like, man, who is this guy? It's just a really great cliffhanger, and it makes me very excited to see where this arc is going to go. I just thought it was a very good part 1. Again, utilizing that team really well. The action sequences are out of this world, some of the best in comics right now, and just a really, really solid issue with some good interactions between Clint, Winter Soldier, and Black Widow in particular here. So overall, giving that 4 stars, and that is number 4. Moving on to number 3, which is Aquaman The Becoming, issue 2. Another really well-paced issue. I really loved issue 1. As I said earlier in this review, I'm honestly not a huge Aquaman fan, but I've really enjoyed Jackson as a character. I think he's a good anchor character, good introduction character to, you know, this kind of bigger mythology of Aquaman. And I think this issue did a really good job at that. You really only need to know the bare bones of Aquaman to really enjoy this. Mera has a really good time to shine here, especially her just protecting her daughter, but also try to protect Jackson. The way it is told, that we didn't know that she was protecting Jackson until the end, was really well done. Yeah, there's just a lot of good shining moments to characters that usually don't have the chance to shine in a normal Aquaman book, like Mera or Jackson's mother. And then honestly, Jackson's not even in this issue that much, but the things that he does here, you know he's in trouble, and you know, okay, he's a survivor. How is he going to get out of this? The artwork is really well done, from the facial expressions to, again, the more gruesome moments with Aquaman or with Jackson. Overall, a really solid issue. I've been loving this series, and I think it's a really new reader-friendly book. So overall, giving that 4 stars, and that is number 3. Moving on to number 2, which is Robin issue 7, one of the best books on stands. And this one, it honestly gives us a lot of information, which, you know, sometimes comics, they like to prolong the reveals. And this one doesn't do that. We know the person that's ahead of is actually Ra's al Ghul's mother, so Robin's great-grandmother. We get some answers of what exactly everyone's doing here, and that really changes Damian's perspective of the tournament in general. There's moments where he probably would have wanted to fight. You know, he's like, okay, I want to kill people because I'm Damian. I want to show I'm strong. And there's moments where he really hesitates here with Flatline, with seeing what happens to Ravager, all because of the new information he has about this island. The supporting characters are used really well here, especially in an action point of view. There's still the tournaments going on while he's getting all this information and trying to put 2 and 2 together. The artwork is so good for this book, again, from the more emotional moments, and I kind of like the manga style because Damian does like manga, so it really fits for this book as well. So overall, just a really solid issue that honestly progresses the plot really well, but also still giving us the action we love from this book. So overall, giving that 4 stars, and that is number 2. Moving on to number 1, which is Daredevil, issue 35. This is the penultimate issue of this volume of Daredevil. Then we're going to get the big event, which I'm so excited for. And this one is a great penultimate issue, where it honestly focuses more on Elektra and Bullseye's relationship. There's some really good stakes between having Mary and Elektra fighting these 3 Bullseyes. The way Chip Zdarsky and our artist really plays out these events is so well done and really pulse-pounding here. But the moment that really shined is when you get into that theater and then Bullseye's like reenacting the time he killed Elektra. I'm like, okay, the stakes are up here. And Bullseye is demented. You know, this is not just the normal Bullseye. He's also kind of become psychotic. Not that he was a psychotic before, but this is a whole different level for Bullseye. And then right at the end, you do get to see Daredevil save the day with Elektra. And then, okay, politically and more from the law enforcement side, is he going to go back to jail? What's going to happen to him? Did he, you know, save enough people by destroying Bullseye or capturing Bullseye that he could be let go? So there's definitely a lot of interesting information put here while you're having this really emotional action sequences throughout the whole issue between Elektra and Bullseye. And then you kind of get the cliffhanger of Kingpin marrying Mary. Like, what's going on there? So there's a lot of good information here. Very solid build up to hopefully an explosive finale that will lead us into this event to figure out, why do we need an event? You know, why is this going to affect the rest of the Marvel universe? So overall, a really solid issue, and that is my pick of the week. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Again, in the comments below, let me know what your pick of the week was. And last week's viewers' pick of the week was Fantastic Four, a book that I've been really enjoying, and here are some comments about that. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. This is Comic Uno, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.